We had Jim Nantz on Monday. He mentioned the first player out of his mouth was Dustin Johnson. Is that the sense of things, that this could be his year here?
Without a doubt. And it's the sense, Rich, in the same way that it used to be with Tiger, that if he plays to his best capabilities, that he could well win in a walk. He's always been incredibly long, but he's married that now with his short game, where his wedges and his ability to putt are much, much better than they once were. And he arrives having won 3 in a row. But there's this odd history here where the number one player in the world hasn't played particularly well here. The last to win as the number one or as the favorite was Tiger, and it's been 15 years ago. So everything points to him, and yet history here points in another direction. So if he does that, it would shock no one. He's absolutely the favorite and should be based on how he's played.
All right, so let's walk through some others that you think have the shot this week that you believe could be slipping on the green jacket in that beautiful Butler cabin.
I think Jordan Spieth will expect to play here forever, and likely will. I think that John Rahm, and it's apparently Ram, not Rahm. We've been saying his name wrong all this time. This young Spaniard who's playing so well could be one of those surprises as a first timer. I think Justin Rose could win here. He always seems to play well, but it would surprise me if it were some name. There'll be some name, some leader on Thursday that you'll go, wow, who's that? Or not who's that, but I didn't think he'd lead. But there are Thursday stories, there are Friday stories, and then there are weekend stories. And so I think by Sunday late, it's a name that we know well. And it's a name like Ram that we will learn how to say correctly and will know for many years to come.
Now, if there's if I was given a list of players, for instance, and the list of players were a group of, like, say, the first group of expected winners, and then the second group of players would be players who are, concept of second tier players. Who?
Wow, way to veil this, Rich.
Well, who might you choose from, the list of folks like Leishman or Koepka or Reed, or who else is on that second list, Brockman?
I don't know. Do you have it in front of you?
So this is just a theoretical pool that guys could have.
Yeah,
just together, just kind of knocking it around for and giggles, just something like that.
J.B. Holmes, just throwing out names like that.
No skin in the game or anything.
I think I'd take a flyer on a guy like Leishman, a guy who has contended in majors, a guy who won at Bay Hill. I think Leishman, Rich, would be a really good name to write down next if you're drafting or if it's some sort of Calcutta.
What about?
I'd put a little notch next to his name.
What about Thomas Peters? Seen a lot of guys listing his name.
Peters would be lower on the list for me than Leishman, but it appears that Leishman's already spoken for. So who else would theoretically be in the conversation with Peters?
Furyk. You got a Furyk situation here,
like a Brandon Grace.
Pretty big ballpark for Jim at this stage of his career.
A Westwood situation. You got to,
Maybe time seems like the window's closed there for Lee. I like him a lot as a guy, but I mean,
Tommy Fleetwood.
Who do you?
Great hair. Incredible hair.
See, you and I notice these things.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.